What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. A question that seems to be popping up more and more frequently underneath my key videos as well as my mission walkthrough videos for DMZ is exactly which weapons I use in my loadouts and which ones I have in my insured slots. So I thought I'd make a video since I haven't really changed these three weapons in weeks. I'm super happy with the way in which they're configured. And so I think if you want to try something different out, you're looking for some really lethal options as you are trying to solo the DMZ, I absolutely don't think you can go wrong with any of these three choices. But let's jump in and have a look. So first and foremost, the three weapons which we're going to be looking at primarily are the Chimera, which is an assault rifle, of course. Then we're also going to look at the TAQ V, which is a battle rifle. And last but not least, for my sniper option, I use the Signal 50. Now, first and foremost, before we dive into detail on those three weapons, I do want to give a shout out to a weapon that you can actually pick up in the DMZ. Now, most of the times, if you have a low round that you've just been knocked out, obviously you might be going in with a contraband weapon, or you might go in barehanded, and you should be looking for a replacement weapon that you can start farming your way back up to your insured slots. Now, most people will say that you should absolutely be looking at LMGs, more specifically the RPK, simply due to the fact that it is so ridiculously efficient at dealing damage, and it's just overall the floor RPK in the game is really good. However, I present you with the M4, which comes from the tier 3 elites, the heavy plated elites that you fight oftentimes around objectives as well as HVTs. This is a 2-slot, or rather 2 attachment M4, but it is silenced due to the fact of it having the broadhead 3DP on there, and then it has a laser on there as well, which is essentially visible as long as you're not aiming down sights. This thing absolutely fucking shreds. So I highly recommend dragging as many of these out with you as you can, so you can usually have a staple of them ready to go so that you can go in a low round and you can use this. Trust me, if you haven't used these yet, if you've just been running with RPKs and LMGs, give these a try. You are going to be pleasantly surprised. So weapon in the first slot, and primarily the gun that I use the most frequently, is of course the Chimera. Now, what really can be said about the Chimera that hasn't been said already? Of course, it is an absolute shred monster. It chews through enemies, whether they are enemy AI or if they are players. It chews through their plates relatively fast. It is ridiculously fast firing. It's basically a laser beam, and it absolutely melts people. Now, oftentimes in exchanges with LMGs or M4s or something like that, if you know what you're doing, you can absolutely knock people out with this weapon. And when it comes to the actual loadout and what you want to be looking for in terms of attachments, and what I've settled on, I use the Custodia DX9 as the muzzle. I use the 10-inch SA Phoenix as the barrel. I use the VLK laser 7mW as the laser. I like the Slimline Pro due to the fact of it giving like a nice clean visibility. And then last but not least, because this thing fires so fast, you do want to be giving yourself additional rounds here, so you want to be slapping in a 45 round mag. Now, in terms of your tune, this is really, you can, the sky's the limit here. Obviously, since this will be your primary weapon, you want something that is fast to aim down sight. You want something that has decent stability when you shoot with it, because this could also very well be your sniper support weapon. So in the case of your tuning, always try to prioritize things like aiming down sights and aiming stability. Bullet velocity and things like that increase the range of this weapon is useful, but not as useful due to the fact that you get a relatively extreme jitter when you're trying to shoot over 50 to 60 to 70 meters with this weapon. Now, that's not to say you won't be able to challenge people and kill them with it, but nonetheless it can be a little bit problematic, and they can probably outgun you with something that's a little bit more accurate. So absolutely treat this as an assault rifle that is essentially like a submachine gun on crack, and you won't go wrong. This weapon absolutely shreds, and I suppose that there's a very big chance that this is going to get nerfed when we roll into season 2. Then we get onto my second insured slot, and that is of course the TAQ V, which happens to be a battle rifle. Now, one of the reasons why I have a battle rifle in here is because they are ridiculously efficient in the DMZ at chewing through plates on enemies. This is essentially my weapon that I oftentimes take in when I know that predominantly I'm going to be focusing on PvE. I'm going to be doing like a hard piece of, like going in somewhere tough, going into a stronghold, something like that. I'm just going to be killing a lot of AI. And so this absolutely fucking rips the plates off of AI. And let me be clear, it's no slouch when it comes to killing enemy players either. When we're looking at the attachments on here, I am of course using the Polar Fire S as the muzzle to give myself a silence profile. I use the FSS OLV laser as my laser. I use the SZ SR07 as my optic. Now here, the sky's the limit. You can pretty much pick whatever you want to go for. I know the AIM Op 4 is also very popular, but I really like the clean aesthetic of the SZ SR07. Then I've opted to use high velocity ammunition in this, which just means that my bullets are able to travel further. I get some additional range on this, and it absolutely claps a lot harder. And then what you do here is you put the 50 round drum on here. Now usually battle rifles have a small mag size, and so you have to choose your shots very wisely. This removes that consideration from the game, because with 50 round drum in here, you can lay waste to fucking a whole battalion of AI and you will not have a problem. Now, when you are choosing this particular setup, you're only going to have 3 pieces that you can tune. But once again, you want to be focusing on the maneuverability of the weapon, the mobility of the weapon. So if you can give yourself additional aim down sight speed, that's good. Any kind of like stability to aiming. This weapon is super accurate by default and does not have a bad recoil profile, but giving yourself some additional stability will absolutely work out here. When we look at the optic here, once again, you can see aiming for aim down sight speed. And then last but not least, I think this is the one that I haven't had open yet. Again, here you can see recoil smoothness and recoil steadiness. Now, this is for me an excellent alternative to going in with an assault rifle. And I tend to bounce between these two a lot. And like I said, if I am doing case extractions, this is absolutely the weapon that I go in with, because even though the Chimera absolutely fucks the boss up and you can get the case off him a lot quicker, the battle rifle, this really packs a punch and seems to, in a way, I wouldn't say it staggers the boss, but it definitely feels like this is packing so much of a punch on the boss that oftentimes he's just trying to push through the damage instead of just stopping and, you know, sort of like shooting at you with the machine gun or the minigun. But nonetheless, give this a try. If you've primarily been focused on submachine guns and assault rifles and LMGs and you haven't really messed around with the battle rifles, I cannot recommend the TAQ V enough. Last but not least, we do have to talk about sniper rifles. Of course, it is something that I A, enjoy doing, and B, is super rewarding in the DMZ if you can pull it off, sniping enemy players as well as taking care of AI from far away so they can't challenge you. You really, in the game, in my opinion, only have 2 choices. That is the Victus or the Signal 50. The simple reason being that taking any of the other options doesn't mean that those weapons are necessarily shit. They just don't perform as well as the Victus and the Signal. Now, the reason why I prefer the Signal is because the Victus is, of course, a season pass weapon, and generally how Activision works with this is the season pass weapons, when they come out, they're super fucking good. They're great because they incentivize people to buy the season passes, and then usually as soon as that season is over, they balance the weapons, and suddenly these weapons that were so fucking great are not that great anymore. So I kind of like broke away from the Victus for the first half of the season. That is the only sniper rifle that I touched, but I kind of like broke away from the Victus simply due to the fact that I didn't want to, you know, get used to it being so fucking juicy, and then, you know, they go ahead and nerf it. Now maybe they don't nerf it, great, then perhaps I could go back to it at the end, but in the end, the Signal 50 is ridiculously good as well, and absolutely no slouch. And when it comes to the attachments on here, I'm running the Nil Sound 90 silencer as my silence option on the muzzle. I'm running the 29-inch TV Kilo 50 in the barrel. I'm running the Schlager PEQ Box 4 as my laser. I'm using 50 cal high velocity ammunition on here. Again, here you have some choices. I know it's super popular to put explosive rounds on this because that absolutely just messes with vehicles and people that are trying to race away from you. Maybe you're trying to ambush them or something like that. You can destroy the vehicle and force them out, and then, you know, challenge them with another weapon. But I choose to use the high velocity just due to the fact that this just gives me even a faster delivery of the bullet down range, as well as just further on increasing the range at which you can actually hit people effectively with this weapon. And then last but not least, on the stock, I use the FSS Echo stock. Now you have 2 choices here. Basically, you're either going to slap a stock on you or you're going to put a rear grip on. But the bottom line is your focus with this weapon when it comes to the tuning, and you have 4 pieces that you can tune: the barrel, the muzzle, the ammunition, and the stock, is you are focusing on tuning this so you get as fast as possible aim down sight speed, And then also to make sure, one of the things that makes the Signal 50 so great is because it's an automatic sniper rifle, which means that you don't have to shoot, breach. So what you can do is you can line up your shots, and if you are good at controlling that recoil, those follow-up shots are going to hit on point every time, and it's going to be super easy for you to hit someone, down them, and eliminate them. Now, when it comes to the tunes, as mentioned, you are going to be going for either aim down sight speed or recoil steadiness. And all of these attachments usually give you a choice between the two of them. So here we can see recoil steadiness and aim down sight speed. Here we've got aim down sight speed and aiming idle stability, which is also good. We've got recoil smoothness, and I don't know why this is reset, but of course I want it to be recoil steadiness. And then last but not least, over here we have aim down sight speed and again aiming idle stability. So this is my rollout for this particular sniper rifle. If you're using the Victus, you would probably use something similar to that. I think that the Victus is a lot more accurate with that first shot, I would say, especially with the right sight on it, than you could possibly get with the Signal. But what I like about the Signal, as I've already said, I'm starting to repeat myself, is the fact that you can land those follow-up shots, which are so crucial, a lot better with this. Now, you might be wondering, why am I not using the optic on this? The optic on the Signal 50, for me, the base one, is awesome. It's got a super big view area, and it's not as high zoomed in, so you're not going to be landing those 300 to 350, 400 meter shots. But in fucking any case, you can't do that because the game's rendering is ass, and anything out past 220 meters, the enemies just basically look like stick figures that are running around, and they don't change elevation or anything like that. So, you know, fuck it. Who cares about the sight? Rather make sure that you have a nice viewable area and that you can land those shots. And that right there is my loadout, as well as my 3 insured slots, which I haven't changed in weeks. And it's also the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other specific questions regarding these weapons. Maybe you have some suggestions on what I should try if I like these particular ones. Most likely, as we go into season 2 and there's new weapons that are added, this might change for me. I might swap and change things around a bit. I could also just potentially do it because you kind of get bored of using the same weapons the whole time. I have to say, all in all, the M4, for instance, always just performs really well, especially set up the right way. So that's also like an old favorite of mine. Never mind the M4 that you can actually get off the Elites, which is delicious. Anyways, it's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are in the world. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.